Welcome to Art by Clark, and I'm Mrs. Clark. Today we're going to do a really interesting lesson using a bunch of those elements we've learned before, and it's called Who is in the Well? And the supplies we need for this is 2 pieces of paper, 8.5 by 11 or bigger. We need a pencil, because pencils have erasers, and we like that. A black marker, preferably a Sharpie or waterproof marker, and crayons, colored pencils, markers, or some kind of color media. So, why don't you go gather all your materials, and we'll get started. Like I said before, the title was, Who is in the Well? Well, let's take a look. Oh, it's the kitty cat that's in the well. So, as you see, we're using a lot of elements. We're using the elements of art of line, shape, color, pattern, and space, which is basically it's the value and the space. So we're using almost all of them. That's awesome. And almost form because it's looking like a cylinder. So we've got them all. So anyway, let's get started. I'll slide this over. And I like to start with my pencil first. I know some of you are very brave and like to start with those markers, but I'm going to do the pencil. And first we have to do a small opening to our well. So we have to do a circle. I start up here. You can do it in the center. Depends how straight you want it. But I'm just going to do an opening about that big. And oh no, if I don't like the way that looks, you can always erase, because remember, pencils always have erasers, and we can widen that circle up. There we go. Now, we need to keep making our circles bigger and bigger and bigger, but we start close to each other and then we get wider. That's how we create space in a picture. So here we go, our next one will be right next to that initial one. Then we'll make this a little further apart. Then a little further apart. And now that I'm off the paper over here, you'll see that I'll just start. I'm going to guess it right here, and I'll continue my circle. Go off the paper, pretend, and it's a little bit of one right there. And now we'll come over, make this more spaced apart. And our last one will be as far apart as we can. So the idea is kind of like when you do the value, and it gets from smaller to bigger, we're doing the same thing. So now we need to create a pattern. In this case, I'm doing a brick pattern. So we're going to make this opening kind of look like the sun. So let's add rays all around, but it's not really rays, it's bricks. But it does give an optical illusion. Now, in order to make bricks work, we have to alternate them. That means that we have to put the lines in between each line. So this is right in between, that's in between. Basically, you're putting a line where the space is, not where the line is. Does it have to be exact? Nah. But if you see, I put a line in every space. But now that we did that, we got to do it again. And again, and again. So you constantly are putting lines where the spaces are. And if you do it correctly, the lines should line up every other circle, but I'm not quite expecting that to happen. So don't worry about it. I'm not even expecting mine to do that. But as you see, because we made our circles further and further apart, it's giving the illusion of the bricks getting bigger as well. It's kind of a cool optical illusion. And some of us did opt art, so you kind of understand. So you can't do it on the ones that we went off the paper, but you can definitely do the ones on the paper. Looks like we got one more there. And then we got about 2 or 3 here. And then 1 and 2. Look at that. We have a well. So first thing I would advise is to take a Sharpie. I got one right here. Nice looking Sharpie. I also have a thin Sharpie. If you have this at home, it's great for small details, but most of us have the regular Sharpie. And again, you see, but we're going to use the thick Sharpie for the bricks. And then when you're outlining your detail, whatever it's going to be, you're welcome to use a thinner one if you have it, or else you could just use the thick one. I sometimes use a thick one too. Sometimes just easier. Okay, so kind of erased all my pencil lines. That's what I brought the pencil over for. And now I'm going to do my dog. The further something is away, the smaller it gets. The closer something is, it will be bigger. So this doggy over here, he's going to be looking on. So we're going to do eyeball and an eyeball. How you do that is 2 ovals with dots in them. I'm going to do an upside down rainbow above his head. Put a little nose in there. You can do like I did the letter V with the line, or you could do an oval. If you see, I kind of came around and then came up, and I did the same thing on this side. I just did 2 ovals really. It's kind of like an infinity symbol. Then I needed ears, so I came up on both sides, and then I ovaled it, and then brought a line back. So again, oval, brought it back. I'm going to leave this one with his mouth closed because I want a little close, and then I did paws on underneath because he's looking in. And that's my little doggy. You can have his mouth open if you want, just by making it bigger, and then you can color that in too. It's really up to you. And then I added some clouds. Usually I do a straight line and then go bump, bump, bump. You can also do all sorts of kind of clouds. And then if you wanted to add some flowers, that's really up to you. So I'm going to leave the dog's mouth closed here since I already Sharpied a lot of this, and it looks kind of cute as he's serious there. I did a more serious dog. So then I take my marker and I'll outline it. And outline this too. I went with the ears first. Some like to start with the way we drew it. Some eyes. And again, I did this kind of dog. You can always do a terrier, another kind of dog. You don't even have to do a dog. Maybe you want to do, I don't know, a squirrel. I'm trying to think of what kind of character you could do that could be looking down inside the well. You can have fun with it. You can do a person looking down. So there's my little dog. So what's he gonna look at? Well, as you see in mine here, I did a little kitty cat. So I was just gonna show you how I drew that kitty cat. And again, maybe he dropped a ball into the well. Really, that's up to you, whatever you want him to be looking at. Maybe it's a bucket, and the bucket has a person in it, and it's like, Timmy, come out of the well. That's a Lassie reference, by the way. Really, it's a Lassie reference. Anyway, let's draw the cat. And as you see, the cat really just has an oval type face, kind of like Stewie from the Family Guy. It's a cute cartoon. And then it has 2 triangles for ears, but if you see, they're really upside down V's. And then I do one on inside. I have my cat sleeping, but let's do the regular V with a line through it, or an upside down triangle. I have my cat smiling because he's sleeping, but you could do one scared if you wanted to, and has the eyes closed. So very simple shapes there. Then I did some triangles, or they're V's when they're right here, but they're upside down triangles for stripes. I did a couple underneath, and then a couple on this side too. And then I would color that all in. And if you see, I used the skinnier Sharpie. I didn't even know I did that. Oops, but I do tend to like that one. It's kind of like a pen. You can also use a ballpoint pen or something that you might have around the house, or you can just use the thicker Sharpie. It all works, it's all good. And now we color that in. And this. And now the body. First, let's do the little paws, because cats kind of sleep on their paws. So what I do is a rainbow shape. I go bump, 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 and do another one. Rainbow shape, bump, bump, bump. It's up to you if you want to put some claws in there. And then we'll put a little bit of a rainbow, because that's the arm. Then we're going to come around and do an oval that will go over to the paw. That's it all snuggled up. And then we'll do a tail. I usually keep the tail curled up. And now I do some more upside down V's for stripes. There we go. And then straight stripes for the tail. I think it would kind of look a little funny if I did triangles for the tail. So I'll color that one in, this one in. Yeah, might be better actually to use a thicker marker to color in some of these bigger shapes. Go back and forth. And there you go. And then I sometimes like to just add a back foot in there with a couple little claws so it doesn't look as funny. Oh, look, I missed an ear. So, and then I got to put him on a ledge. Or it's a her, not quite sure. Now if you see I got a little bit on my paper, that's all right, because we're going to color this in. Now some of you I know love your markers. You know, you love your markers, you love your crayons, you love your pastels, colored pencils. Colored pencils are fun for shading for this project, but I'm going to use my crayons because that's what I tend to like to use, but definitely feel free to use whatever color media you want. So up here at the top, I usually do a little bit of a blue sky, add a little blue into this picture. And we'll just keep coloring a bit. And as you see, good thing about colored pencils, if you use them, is you can sharpen them. Crayons, not so much unless you have my magic pencil sharpener, but that's at school, so we don't have that. So let's see, we got that in. And then it's up to you what color you want to do your doggy. I did mine in brown. Okay, and I'm going to go to my trusty Crayola crayons because they're a little smaller. I'm going to color the doggy's ears. This doggy's a little more serious. He doesn't have his tongue out because I got a little close to the wall, but feel free, any kind of doggy you want to do. There you go. Nice little brown dog. Maybe you want to do one that's different color. And the clouds. And then you see now what color to do the walls. And if you notice when I did it before, I actually pressed really hard and then pressed very light at the top. And I outlined all my lines in the crayon, which I tend to like to do. So what I am going to do is speed it up and color it just like that. I'm going to press really hard on the bottom and then get lighter and lighter and lighter, just like we've done for our value charts. As you see, it's optically feeling like it has space and depth in it. And you've already given that space, so now we're just giving it some value to help it. And then go really dark down here. And look at that. It's really starting to come along. Marker will be harder to show the value. So I would recommend using colored pencils or crayons for this part of it. All right, I think we're there. I'm gonna ask my assistant. Yeah, okay. Just showing it to all my peeps. And if you want to get very dark, you would get to that one. Now the kitty cat. The kitty cat. I colored the little guy yellow. You could definitely use almost any color you want. I just wanted the cat to show up. I think I'm going to put the cat on a brown ledge this time. But if you see, just going to color him in. I don't really mind if I go out of the lines this time because I'm going to cut the little guy out. Probably put a little pink nose. So if you see, and again, always color the lightest colors first. Easier to color over with dark. So just a little keynote there. Now brown, here we go. Actually, I'll use this brown. I tend to like that brown better. I'll be careful I don't color on the well since it's right underneath me. I'll do that. We can always shade too, but we'll save that for another lesson, shading. That's a fun thing to do. You can get a little darker underneath things, especially with the light above, but we're gonna wait on that. Pink, let's see. Oh, I got nice pink for the nose. Should have did that for that one too. And now with your scissors, you're gonna cut it out. Remember, scissors never really move very much. They only move up and down. You move the paper. I like to cut excess off, so you'll see like I like to cut all that off. It makes it a lot easier to cut when you don't have all that hanging paper following you. Cut it the best you can on the line, using whatever kind of scissors you have at home. I'm going to cut on the line. Don't want to have a white background, so if you do have some white space left, just color the background whatever color your well is. So say you did a red like mine, you just color some of the parts you missed. Now I do see that I missed a little spot here on the side. I'm just gonna color that in. And let's move that out of here, out of here. So now the poor little kitty cat who's sleeping, probably very happy to be away from that dog, by the way. Told you there's always a story to my pictures. And now I'm going to glue. Let's bring that scrap back. Let's glue this. I have a glue stick. If you have white glue, that is fine, or whatever kind of glue you have around the house. Just be careful if it's not one of those. If it's something highly sticky, be careful. You don't want to wash your hands very quickly after. But we should be doing that anyway. Here we go. I'm going to put it at the bottom. And look at that. We are done. So, I hope you had fun. I definitely did. And I can't wait till we do our next lesson. Until later, bye.